All right, welcome back to another episode of Steele Talkin Sports. My name is Jay Steele, and let's get talking. I do apologize if anybody caught the first 3 minutes of that stream, and then it somehow I disconnected a camera from the USB port, so we had a malfunction. So I will just start this all over. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you for joining me again. My name is Jay Steele. We are on the precipice of the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals, just a couple of days away. Big congratulations to the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics in the NBA, and big congratulations to the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers in the NHL. All four teams making their respective finals. We have got some good playoff hockey and NBA coming our way this week. So stay tuned. Let's run through these games. Let's talk about these picks. We're going to talk some stats to make you lean one way or the other on what you think is a good idea as far as what to bet. And let's just get started from there. Real quick, give me 1 second. I just want to post to the Twitter that we are live. And I can let other people know to join if they care to. Team is now going live on YouTube. Post. All right. So real quick, if anybody caught my first 2 minutes of that stream that got disconnected, again, I'm wearing a hat that says Ace by Ping. No, this is not a shout out to my dog, even though my dog's name is Ace. But this is to celebrate and commemorate my very first hole in one. Yes, I've been playing golf for 12 to 15 years since I graduated high school. I've never had a hole in one. I've been very close 2 or 3 times. But yesterday it happened playing with my friend Jordan. Meadowlands Golf Club in Winston-Salem, North Carolina on June 2nd, 2024. Hole number 17, 169 yards, 7 iron. One bounce, rolled about 10 to 15 feet, right into the cup. What a magical day. What a magical feeling, to be honest. It feels like a life accomplishment has been achieved. A hole-in-one is something that every golfer searches for. If you ever get the chance to have one, you'll understand that you want to tell somebody and everybody. So I wanted to tell the internet that I made a hole-in-one. It felt great. Let's hope we have some luck just like that for the rest of the week in all of our picks. So let's get started. Game 1 of the NBA Finals starts on Thursday. We have Boston favored -6.5 at -110 odds. -110 odds as well for Dallas on the plus 6.5. The total for this game is going to be 214.5 points. And the money line for Dallas is plus 190. Boston is minus 230. Obviously, Boston took down Indiana in a sweep. It was, kind of unfortunate that Indiana got that far and then had some injuries themselves and just could not get past the Boston Celtics. To me, the Celtics should not have even won that series in 4 games. They should have been down 3-1. Indiana had a lead in 3 of the 4 games, and in the fourth quarter of those games, they were in it every single game. It's kind of unfortunate that they lost all 4 of them. It just didn't seem like Indiana was a team that should have been swept 4-0. They were very much in all of those games. They were very competitive. They had a balanced scoring attack from the majority of their players. I mean, there was a couple of games they had all 5 starters in double-digit points. Even somebody off the bench like Obi Toppin or TJ McConnell would come in and they would get double-digit points. But really, the thing that stood out to me was decision making at the end of the games. Indiana did not have a clear cut guy that they knew that could make the right decision, pass the ball to the right guy, or drive in and get fouled. And they kept making mistakes. So that was unfortunate. Um, they certainly didn't deserve to get swept 4-0, but things happen. You make mistakes at the end of the game, and a team like Boston is going to take advantage of those, and they did. So congrats to Boston. They're in the finals. They did what they needed to do. On the other side, Dallas and the Mavericks put up a phenomenal performance in my eyes. Um, the T Wolves were coming off of that super high strung series against Denver. They had to win in 7 games. But I kind of felt like, they were going to be exhausted when they came into this series against Dallas. And it really showed in game one. They looked slow. Everybody on the roster looked slow, to be honest, not just Edwards or Gobert, but everybody looked slow. They looked tired. And then it seemed in a way that their team was built to beat Denver, and they forgot that Dallas was in the way of them getting to the finals. And the way that the Timberwolves played defense against Luka and Kyrie specifically was just kind of embarrassing to watch and hard to watch. Kyrie was faster than anybody else on the T-Wolves defense. There was nobody that could compete with him as far as speed when he wanted to drive downhill. As far as Luka goes, I don't know who can guard him, honestly. He's not, lightning fast, or he's not going to bully you with a weight or size advantage, but he's just crafty with his moves. Obviously, the step back setup over Rudy Gobert will go down in history as like one of the most beautiful plays in basketball. But the inability to switch on defense, and then also the pick and roll game, Minnesota just did not have an answer for how to play the pick and roll, whether it was Luka and Gafford or Luka and Lively. If they made the wrong switch, Luka's dumping it down inside for an easy layup or a lob attempt. Or if they crashed on the middle and forgot about one of the wing guys, PJ Washington and Derek Jones were able to knock down threes in that series. So the defense for the Timberwolves for me was what lost them the series. And then I just think their overall energy level was not there. They did not have the gas to be able to face Dallas. So tough loss for them, but great on our side for the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to hop into some stats that I dug through that may be an indication for how this series may go, but also some things to maybe keep an eye out for if you're looking for player props in this series besides just playing the game by themselves. First, on Boston side, Jason Tatum shot 29% from three so far through the playoffs. He's averaging 26 points per game. But he's taken like 100 threes, and he's only made 29 of them. So I don't know if Tatum thinks he's like a superstar shooter from the outside. He had one game where he did make 5 or 6 threes, but that was kind of the anomaly. He is averaging 10.4 rebounds in the playoffs per game, and also has 34 turnovers. Jaylen Brown is shooting 54% from the field, 36% from three during the playoffs, and averaging 6.1 rebounds per game, and he does have 37 turnovers. The thing, like, Brown's numbers look good, except for his free throw shooting. A player of his caliber with that high of a payroll should not be shooting 63% from the free throw line. That is concerning if you are a Boston fan. Jaylen Brown needs to be able to make the free throws towards the end of the game in crucial situations if Boston wants to win this series. And from the looks of it, I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. They have not played in a super competitive series up until this point. Um, so I'm unsure if Brown is reliable at the free throw line coming down the clutch situations in this series against Dallas. So I would be very weary of that if you were a Boston fan. Um, his numbers from the field are good. His numbers from 3-point land are good. But the free throw line is concerning. A guy that can shoot 54% from the field and over 36% from three, he should not be shooting 63% at the free throw line. That is terrible. Jaylen Brown either needs to step it up, or the Dallas Mavericks need to look at that and maybe, key in on him as somebody that they could foul more often than other players, like a Derek White or a Jason Tatum, and maybe get a possession or two back per game on Brown missing free throws. So that would be something that I would be interested in. On the Dallas side, um, Luka is shooting 43.8% from the field, averaging 28.8 points per game. He's made 57 threes in the playoffs, the most of any player in the playoffs, and while shooting 34% from three. He's averaging 9.6 rebounds per game, and 8.8 assists per game. But he has twice as many turnovers as Tatum and Brown with 67. That is not good, but Luka is very risky with his passes sometimes. And I will say Minnesota was a bit more aggressive on trying to steal the ball from him as much as they could. Kyrie shooting 48.5% from the field, 22.8 points per game, 45 threes made in the playoffs, shooting 42%, 42 turnovers, and 5.1 assists per game. And then the third highest scorer for Dallas, PJ Washington, shooting 43% from the field, 13.6 points per game, 41 threes made, that's 36%, and he's averaging 6.7 rebounds per game. And I'm pretty positive, I did not look at this, but just based on memory, I think he was averaging about 5 rebounds per game coming into the playoffs. So he's stepped up his intensity. He's up another 1.7 rebounds per game. So that's a very good sign from PJ. He's very involved in the offense, and he's playing just as many minutes as Luka or Kyrie, if not maybe more. Because of his length, he is very valuable on the court, being able to guard almost anybody 1 through 5. Very versatile defender, and when he posts up in the corner for that three, he is lethal. So do look out for PJ Washington to have 1 or maybe 2 really good games in the series. The other stat that I just wanted to note, because this stands out to me, how far and above Dallas is better at blocking shots. Gafford in the playoffs, 30 blocks. Derek Lively in the playoffs, 19 blocks. Derek Jones Jr., a 3. He plays the 3 for Dallas, 18 blocks, and PJ Washington, 14 blocks. On the other side for Boston, the top 3 block leaders, Derek White, 18, Al Horford, 13, and Jason Tatum, 10. So when I look at that, I see that the interior defense for Dallas is much better. And it's not just their 2 top centers, Gafford and Lively. You've got Derek Jones Jr., who's got 18, and PJ with 14 blocks. These guys are long, they are lengthy, and they will disrupt shots on a regular basis. So any type of block props, I would definitely be on. Boston does not have the size down low to compete. If Kristaps Porzingis is healthy, he is not going to be able to stand up to Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. He does not have the size. He is a beanpole. Gafford and Lively at least have some weight to them that they can throw around, and they can push Porzingis off the block. Al Horford, I understand, is a bit bigger in size, not as tall and rangy. But if you're asking Al Horford to guard those 2 guys down down low, good luck. You're in trouble. Al Horford might be fouled out in the first half. Um, I don't. That's the biggest discrepancy in the roster matchup to me is that Boston does not have anything down low to answer Gafford and Lively. If you get Luka going with the pick and rolls and throwing lobs to those two guys, and maybe Derek Jones Jr. coming in on a weak side alley oop attempt, boys, this could be a rout. I mean, Dallas could really take this series in their hands pretty quickly because I just don't. I don't see Boston playing the pick and roll as good as Dallas does. I know Drew Holiday's a great defender. He's probably going to be on Kyrie or Luka, with Derek White being the other defender on one of those two guys. I would imagine that's the case so that Tatum and Brown don't have to do as much work on defense. I would imagine one of those guys takes PJ Washington to compete with his length on the wing, and the other one takes Derek Jones Jr. But just like in the Minnesota series, the first 2 or 3 games, Anthony Edwards was guarding Kyrie Irving, and it was exhausting him because guarding Kyrie is annoying as fuck. He's so fast. He's so shifty. He's not exactly like Steph Curry, but they have similar profiles in the way that they move around the court on the offensive end. That if you're just running around chasing Kyrie, you're in trouble. You're going to be gassed, and when you get down to the offensive end, you're not going to have the energy to put forth your best effort, and that's what we saw from Anthony Edwards. He did not put forth his best effort in most of those games because he was exerting too much energy on defense. So that is something that I look to pay attention to in this series is who guards who on defense. I don't really see Dallas having as much of an issue matching up on defense, whether, if Luka wants to take Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, I don't really see that being an issue. Luka has shown that he can step up his defense when he wants to. He may not be the quickest player on the court, but he can play some stand-up defense, hands up, hands in your face, annoying, and he moves his feet and gets to the right spot when he needs to. He took a couple of charges in that series. That was nice to see, and his aggressiveness on the glass can never be understated. When he wants to be, Luka will get to that 10.5 rebound number that he's usually at. He knows that people are betting on his player props, and he wants them to win. But I can't say enough good things about Dallas. But let's hop into some of the odds for this series on things that I like that you can find your way around to make some money on. Obviously, Boston to win the series, minus 210. Dallas to win the series, plus 175. I'm going to be doubling down on Dallas. So I've got the Dallas to win the finals at plus 1,600. We will continue playing that. I'm going to play Dallas to win the series for probably 10 or 20 bucks. Series total games over 5.5 is sitting at minus 150. The under 5.5 games at plus 125. A buzzer beater in any game of the NBA Finals. Doesn't matter if it's game 1 or if it's game 7. Plus 2,500. 25 to 1 for a buzzer beater. So I definitely like those odds. If you put $5 on that, that's 125 coming back. That's a beautiful payout just if somebody wins by a buzzer beater. Now, the buzzer beater rule. The time has to expire as the shot is made. There cannot be any time left on the clock for someone to respond. So keep that in mind. The Luka 3 over Rudy Gobert in what was that, game 2? That would not count because there was 3 seconds left on the clock. Naz Reid missed the three-pointer following that possession. That would have been the buzzer beater type of situation that you need. So keep that in mind, but I do think that's a good bet. You're getting a very juicy payout for that, so I would be interested in that. Exact games, if you want to bet how many games the series will go. Doesn't matter who wins. 4 games plus 450, 5 games plus 255, 6 games plus 230, and 7 games plus 220. Um, it's something fun to bet on. You don't really have to have a skin in the game of who's going to win, but you just want to predict the right number of games. Me personally, I think this is like you can throw out 4 and 5. I think this goes 6 or 7 games easily, um, but those are your odds for there. As far as the final spread, Dallas minus 1.5 games plus 290. Dallas plus 1.5 games minus 120. Boston plus 1.5 games minus 370. And Boston minus 1.5 games plus 100. That's not bad there. Obviously, Boston plus 1.5 games. If you think Boston loses 4-3, minus 370 though, that's a steep number. You're laying a lot of juice to get back $100 if you want to put down 370. That's pretty ugly odds right there. I would not be interested in that. Honestly, I like Dallas to win the series in 6, so 4 games to 2. Minus 1.5 games at plus 290, almost a 3-1 payout. That's pretty beautiful right there. I might be on that. I'm not quite sure yet. Um, there's also other bets like series correct score. Like I just said, if I think Dallas is going to win 4-2, that's plus 550. Dallas to win 4 games to 3, that's plus 800. Dallas 4-1 is plus 1200. That one's juicy. I kind of like that, but it seems like a risk. My favorite like series prop that I've found on DraftKings is going. It's under the tab called Game X Series Double. So you're picking like Game One and the series at the same time. I like Dallas Game One and Dallas for the series at plus 400. So it's a cool way to combo the first game and the series. The reason that I like this the most is that in the past 7 seasons, Boston has lost at least one home game in a series. Well, they didn't do that in the series against Indiana. So I feel like the trend has got to come back, and they've got to lose a game in Boston. But also, if I'm going to bet on Dallas to win game 1, I definitely think Dallas wins the series because at that point, now they've got home court advantage. If they can split in Boston in the first 2 games and go back to Dallas 1-1, we know how their defense plays in Dallas. They play phenomenal, and the crowd is electric too. Um, if Dallas takes both of those games in 3 and 4 and goes up 3 games to 1, comes back to Boston, I think they could get it done in 5. But I could see Boston being really motivated in 5. They come back, they win that 3-2, go back to Dallas for game 6, and Dallas pulls it out and wins in 6. So that's the formula that I think is a good look for this series, but let me know what you think. That is how I'm going to be playing it. Dallas game 1, Dallas the series, plus 400. Let's go. And the last stats that I wanted, or points bets that I wanted to talk about, there is a tab for the points leader overall for the series. Luka minus 205, Jason Tatum plus 280, Kyrie plus 1,000, Jaylen Brown plus 1,300. And then these last 3, don't even bother because I think these are just jokes that DraftKings put up there for, somebody to bet. Porzingis plus 5,000, Derek White plus 5,000, and PJ Washington plus 15,000. So those are some super long shots. I would probably play the Tatum or the Luka if I was you. But Luka at minus 205, that's pretty steep for him to be the points leader. You can make better money on just like betting him to get a triple double in game 1 or a Luka ladder. All right, I think the technical difficulties have repaired themselves, but now I'm really just pissed off because I've messed up the stream twice. So I don't really know what's going on, but hopefully I can fix this whenever I'm done recording. I don't know. I'm pretty frustrated right now, so yeah. Oh well. I'll just have to fix this later in post-production, I guess. All right, moving on. Let's move on to the Stanley Cup. I didn't even give my picks for the NBA game. Yeah, I did. I told you like 100 times I'm going to be on Dallas. So take Dallas money line, Dallas to win the series, all that jazz, all that stuff. All right, moving on to the Stanley Cup. We've got the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Edmonton completed the series against the Dallas Stars, and Florida thankfully knocked out the damn Rangers. Florida to win the series is minus 130. Edmonton to win the series is plus 110. Here's some stats that I pulled up for you, just like the top point getters from each team. McDavid is leading everyone in the playoffs with 31 total points. He only has 5 goals, but he has 27, 28 assists. Or I guess 31 minus 5. He's got 26 assists, sorry. In the Star Series, 3 goals, 7 assists. In the Vancouver Series, 1 goal, 8 assists. In the LA Series, 1 goal, 11 assists, which one game he had 5 assists in one game. So Connor McDavid is an absolute monster. A lot of people call him McJesus. He is definitely the best player on 2 skates that anyone has ever seen in this lifetime since Wayne Gretzky. I love watching that guy play, and he absolutely deserves to be at the Stanley Cup. So congratulations to him. On the other side for Florida, top point getter Matthew Tkachuk has 5 goals and 14 assists in this playoffs. Honestly, it's not even close on like the point totals. For Edmonton, they have 4 players that have more points than Matthew Tkachuk, the highest point getter for Florida, with 19. McDavid has 31 points. Draisaitl has 28. Evan Bouchard has 27. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has 20. They just have a bigger stable of weapons, basically, on the ice that does Edmonton. And even though they're listed as the underdog, I would list them as the favorite. Even though Florida was in the Stanley Cup last year, I just don't see it going that way. The goalies in this series for Florida, Sergei Bobrovsky, 12-5 in the playoffs, 38 goals allowed with a almost 91% save percentage. For Edmonton, Stuart Skinner is 11-5 in the playoffs, 40 goals allowed with a 89.7% save percentage. So very close in this series is the goalies. I think the advantage here is going to be the weapons on offense. Edmonton just has more weapons. Now, I know they haven't been to the Stanley Cup in quite some time. They're going to have the pressure of all of Canada rooting for them. Basically like a Canada versus USA Stanley Cup. But I think this is the time that the NHL's best player puts his stamp on the league and he gets a Stanley Cup for the Edmonton Oilers. So I'm going to be on Edmonton to win the series at plus 110. Probably going to take Edmonton series correct score 4-2 or 4-3. I think this series goes 6 or 7 for sure. Edmonton to win 4 games to 3 is plus 550. Edmonton to win 4-2 is plus 475. Edmonton 4-1 plus 750, and Edmonton 4-0 is plus 1300. One thing that I do want to key in on for this series, just like the NBA, you can find all kind of things to bet on for the playoffs or for this series for the NHL Stanley Cup. The series most goals. Zach Hyman for the Oilers plus 360. Sam Reinhart for the Panthers plus 450. Draisaitl for Edmonton plus 475, Connor McDavid plus 600, and Matthew Tkachuk plus 850. On the other side, just points in general, so this would include goals and assists. McDavid plus 140, Draisaitl plus 330, Alexander Barkov for the Panthers plus 800, Reinhart for the Panthers plus 900, and Matthew Tkachuk for the Panthers plus 900. This is interesting. Like I just mentioned with the stat totals, McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, and Nugent Hopkins all have more points in these playoffs than Matthew Tkachuk, the highest point getter on the Panthers team. So most points, McDavid and Draisaitl at plus 140 and plus 330 respectively. Either one of those plays is probably a good idea, but I think McDavid is the clear-cut favorite. If you watch the last few games of that series against Dallas, he really took control and was like, look, guys, I'm going to get us to the promised land. So, like, just jump on my back. I'm going to take 6 shots a game. I'm going to put the puck on net. You guys get the rebounds and knock them in. Or when we get on our lethal power play, get open because I'm going to find space. I'm going to find you, and you just put it in the back of the net. That's why he's got so many assists. That's why he had only 32 goals in the regular season, but he had 100 assists. The dude is a wizard. He plays, honestly, just like Wayne Gretzky. I mean, you can't describe him as any other type of player. He is a Wayne Gretzky type of player. He plays with more energy, more speed. His stick handling is far and above better than anyone else. It's unbelievable to watch him skate because he is miles better than anyone else on the ice when he's out there. And it's very clear. Defenders and defensemen, they look like they're stumbling over their feet when McDavid splits between 2 defenders and he puts off like a wicked wrist shot. It's unreal to watch. It's exciting. So McDavid most points. What was the stats for Zach Hyman? Because he's put up like gaudy numbers in the playoffs. He has 14 goals in the playoffs. Like, that's ridiculous. Leon Draisaitl has 10. Carter Verhaeghe for the Panthers does have 9. But, I mean, it's just unreal. They've played, let's see, they played 5 games against LA. They played 7 games against Vancouver. That's 12. And they played 6 games against Dallas. That's 18. Hyman has 14 goals in 18 games played. That is absurd. So I would definitely be looking at Hyman to be the leading goal scorer in this series at plus 360. But also, like I just mentioned with McDavid, most points. If you think there's an angle for McDavid to get most points, there is a chance that he takes over and scores more goals than he usually does as well. And so McDavid to score the most goals at plus 600 is very intriguing. But you cannot look past the lethal slap shot of Leon Draisaitl. If you watch this Edmonton team, when they play or when they're in the power play, they move the puck very efficiently in the offensive zone. But Leon Draisaitl, he's got this like stick blade that's like 2.5 feet long. The commentators talk about it all the time, that it looks like a boat oar rather than a hockey stick.
And his ability to post up on the goalie's left side, and he just gets a pass from whoever on his team, and he hits an absolute rocket of a shot with that boat oar blade of his. So Leon Draisaitl to lead the series in goals is not a bad play as well at plus 475. Sam Reinhart, on the other hand, he has been electric for the Panthers over the past few weeks. He only has 8 goals in the playoffs, but he's been known to get 2 or 3 a game pretty quickly. So do watch out for Sam Reinhart. He could have an explosion of a game and get 2 or 3 in one game and really flip the script in this series. But that's really all I've got as far as stats for the NHL. Like I said, I am going to be on Edmonton plus 110 for the series. In game 1, we've got Edmonton plus 1.5 on the puck line at minus 225. Florida minus 1.5 on the puck line at plus 185. The total is at 5.5. Minus 115 for the over. Minus 105 for the under. Edmonton plus 114 on the money line, and Florida minus 135 on the money line. I'm going to be playing Edmonton money line at plus 114. I definitely think this series will go the way of some of the other series have so far in these playoffs, where games 1, 2, and 3, you may see some overs over the 5.5, or like over a team total of 2.5, 3.5 goals. But once we get into the later games of the series, the defense is going to show up. These goalies are going to not give up any goals, and you're going to see an absolute bloodbath for 60 minutes on this ice. So if you want to play an over, I think you probably do it in games 1, 2, or 3. After that, I would lean toward the under. But both of these teams are tough on defense. They don't give up a lot of anything. Stuart Skinner last night in Game 6, he was taking shots from Dallas from all over the place. Jason Robertson had, I want to say, double-digit shots in that game, and Edmonton won a playoff game with 10 shots on goal. That is a record in the NHL. No team has ever won a playoff game with only 10 shots on goal. It was unheard of. They came out in the first period and put 2 goals on them pretty quick, like one in the first 10 minutes, one in the second 10 minutes. And after that, Edmonton didn't even care to play offense. They would dump the puck behind the net, get new guys on the ice, and just go play deep. They didn't care. They didn't care about scoring a third goal. They didn't even try to shoot the puck on net. They had, I think, 4 shots on goal in the first period, and then they, scrambled together 6 shots on goal in the second period. But I don't think they actually put a shot on net in the third period. It was insane. So this Edmonton team, their defense has truly stepped it up. The guys on NHL and TNT talk about it a lot. Gretz, Paul Bissonnette, Ace Carter, Henrik Lundqvist, they say it all the time. This Edmonton team is no slouch. They can play some freaking defense. And Stuart Skinner is one of the best goalies in the league. He had, I don't know what series it was. Maybe it was the Vancouver series, but he got benched for 2 games, came back, said, "I'm ready to go, coach." He's been lights out ever since. So man, this is tough because I kind of like the Florida team. They're scrappy. Their coach, Paul Maurice, is a hell of a guy to root for. Matthew Tkachuk, if he'd stop chewing that damn mouthpiece, maybe I'd like him more. But he's scrappy. He gets in there. He mixes it up. He pisses people off. That's what you want in a guy. But McDavid and those boys, they just got more speed. I think they've got more talent. I think they've got more depth. But both of these teams know how to slug it out. There's probably going to be a game in here where it's 1-0 going into the third period. It's going to be brutal. But I'm really excited to watch this series. I can't wait. I think this is going to be fantastic. Fantastic for the league, for Florida to make a repeat back to the Stanley Cup. Fantastic for Edmonton because Connor McDavid, a.k.a. McJesus, he is the best player on two skates that we have seen since Wayne Gretzky. You could say Sidney Crosby. You can say Alex Ovechkin. You can say a number of other players since the great one's time. But honestly, there's nobody that matches up to McDavid. He wins all the skill challenges. He's got the look. He says the right things. He's playing for the Canadian team. It's Edmonton or bust for me, man. So I'm going to be on the Oilers. I know it's probably a bad decision since I'm from North Carolina. I should root for the Eastern Conference team. I should root for the Southeast team in the Florida Panthers, but I just can't do it. I've got to go with McJesus. Give me that 97 in blue and orange, and let's ride that to the promised land, baby. So Edmonton for the series at plus 110. Let's go Edmonton to win the series 4-2 at plus 475. Let's go McDavid most points plus 140. Leon Draisaitl most goals plus 475. And game 1, Edmonton money line plus 114. I would probably pair that with the over. I think game 1 probably hits the over, but don't quote me on that because I've been terrible with over and unders in hockey. So that is all that I've got. I have royally screwed up this episode by my USB connection to the camera being disconnected twice. I don't know how to combine 3 recorded videos into one, so I hope I can figure this out. If not, thank you for your patience. I appreciate anyone that listens to this. Please like, subscribe, follow, leave me a comment. Here on YouTube, it's Steele Talkin Sports. On Twitter, it's Steele_Talkin. We'll be back next Monday. We'll talk we'll talk about what's happened so far in these series, whether we've got 1 game, 2 games, 3 games down, whatever it is at that point. I'm not keyed in on the schedule, but we will get there when we get there. Please remember to bet responsibly. Don't bet outside your bankroll. And if you do have a problem with gambling, please reach out to someone. Let's have some fun. Let's enjoy the NBA Finals and the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Thank you very much. My name is Jay Steele, and this is Steele Talkin Sports.